Hey everyone, and happy Thursday. This is Exhibit B number 7. Welcome. I'm Ian Wojciechowicz. A bunch of us here are actually fresh off a trip to New York for the Poetry Festival, so you may have seen some of those images earlier on. You may also notice that I'm one short when it comes to my hosting duties this week. James Jim Stewart III is at residency at Ragdale, putting the finishing touches on his already awesome novel before the finishing touches, so it'll be awesome to see what it looks like afterwards. As you can see, he resides still here above my shoulder, and even though he isn't with us this evening, his spirit, of course, will be watching over us with stout literary benevolence. Alright, before we continue, obviously I want to thank the rest of the Exhibit B team, our co-curator and founder, Justin Howard Rozier, my co-editor and chat czar, Mary Cerny, and of course our director and founder, Alex Shapiro. And lastly, we couldn't make these shows happen without our incredible partners in the Guild Complex, so please let me introduce you to them very quickly. Since 1989, the Guild Complex has served the Chicago community through innovative programming that highlights the intersections of marginality, the power of community, and the impact of arts and activism. They build on Chicago's rich literary traditions through vibrant storytelling and radical inclusion, advancing access to and from the margins. The Guild Literary Complex supports and encourages voices of all backgrounds and experiences to tell their truths, whether they're literary powerhouses or talented newcomers. The Guild views literature as a vehicle of connectivity and aim to merge seemingly disparate groups across Chicago's 50 wards. As usual, we'll be putting some links to their website in the chat, so please give them some love if you can. And lastly, before we begin our show, I want to make a little land acknowledgement statement. I want to acknowledge the fact that we're on stolen land, a result of acts of genocide perpetrated by colonists and the United States of America against this land's indigenous inhabitants. I recognize the complexity of myself, a non-native person, doing so, but I do it with an open heart as an act of solidarity. This land was, is, and forever will be that of the Potawatomi, Kickapoo, Peoria, Miami, and Sioux. I use past, present, and future tenses because Native people are still here helping lead the way in the fight for environmental justice, as well as in the struggles against white supremacy and police brutality. To find out more about the land that you're on, we recommend you download the Native Lands app. We'll drop a link to that in the chat as well. Alright, so we've got a tasty show for you tonight. Later we'll have readings from Darius Simpson and Hernandez, as well as work from Marina Cavadini from Italy. But first, we have a video from our friend Allison Young. Originally from rural Virginia, Allison B. Young brings her love of storytelling to both her writing and floral design. She earned a BFA in art history at Savannah College of Art and Design and stumbled into the floral industry working from assistant to designer. After completing her MFA in writing at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, she developed the podcast Gathered Storied Botanicals in order to marry her writing and floral work. She continues to find ways the two fields intertwine, all with Flemish giant clover in tow. We will put a link to the podcast as well as some of Allison's work, but please give their video a watch and enjoy.
arrived in a storm. The clatter of thunder, the current of wind and rain, the air's electricity all beckoned me. A low wail escaped my mother. A limb, not hers, reached in and gripped me, tore me into the light in the stall of the barn. A bolt of lightning. Breath. It is understood that I must drink, use the senses that work. But first I have to stand. They wobble and struggle, but my legs seem to know something that I don't yet. They know to push away from the earth. They understand up from down before I do. That arm that pulled me here now guides me. So does my mother's voice. They lead me toward its scent. Familiar, but a distant recognition, like recalling something from sleep. Its taste, I already knew it. Sweet, weighty, filling, before the milk met my tongue. I learned my mother from her scent, wet earth. Then I knew her by her tongue, which was heavy and soft, except for the raised scar at its end. She had nearly bit it off when she birthed me. Light is warmth. This was all I knew of it, the only way I could understand what I could not see. My mother nudged me toward it in the winter, shielded me from it in the summer. She guided me through the pastures in accordance to it. We orbited the field like dark stars, my mother, the rest of the herd, and me. Light led us. It is in this way that my mother taught me how to move through the world without sight. That is how we found the hillside on the southwestern edge of the field. We felt the evening sunlight wash over our faces and the incline of earth in our legs. The push of my mother's nose meant to sit, and we lingered under a tree that smelled musky and sweet. Out from under the sunlight I felt the veil of shade fall over us, a breeze. The scent of my mother drifted as she grazed nearby. I've been told that I sit in an ocean of gold. It glitters, and the tall grasses move like waves. The woman tells me a lot. She pets me while she speaks, smelling of chamomile and onions. She sits with me and coos like a bird. Sometimes we are quiet together. Sometimes she tells me things. Don't be afraid. That's a truck heading up the road. The days are getting longer. Soon it'll be too hot to sit out here. Sometimes I hear the tear of grass and smell it sitting in her palm. An offering. Do you hear them? The woman asks me. Her hand moves over my head rhythmically. It soothes like a lullaby. A cloud of sparrows have landed in a nearby tree. Their chatter fills up the field. She tells me of flight, a swimming through the air, a lightness we don't have, a lightness made of wind and feathers. My mother is always close by. She knows about flight, has seen the sparrows because she is always watching the field that is a gold ocean, surveys from the shade of the tree, pulling up the grass and sniffing at the air. She listens carefully to the woman. I tilt my head up toward the sounds. I try very hard to see the sparrows, but only dull, watery shapes shift before me. The sparrows must be very large for how loud they are. They must be larger than the woman or my mother. Their talk is as big as the field, an ocean. If we cannot fly, my mother and me, then we must float. As dark stars we must drift in the gold ocean. Something heavier than wind guides us each day, something like milk or water. It pulls. It's magnetic. Each day my mother and I float out to the hillside and sit under the tree. The woman doesn't sit with us every day. I don't know what guides her, but when she does sit with us, she'll arrive when the sunlight is at our backs, and she'll leave when the light warms our faces. I'm getting stronger. I feel it in my legs when we cross the gold ocean. My mother tells me I am growing, but the sparrows still tower over me. I don't think I'll grow to their size, but I'm getting stronger. I'm also learning our path. I recognize the worn trail, the tufts of grass underfoot, the tilt back as we reach the hillside and climb. It has become so familiar that sometimes I go ahead of my mother. I follow our orbit, the light over us, and the sudden recognition of the tree, its shadow on my face, surprises me. I call out to my mother, delighted by this new recognition because I'm getting stronger. My mother is a few paces behind me, in step and steady. She is as steady as the coming of days and nights. I don't know what arrived first, the voice or its scent. The voice is not the sound of the woman or the man who pulled me here. It is a voice tied to a sharp smell. Later I will be told it was the smell of medicine, something harsh that cleans. But I don't know it. Whatever came first took my mother. Her steps wobbled off the barn walls and disappeared. I tried to follow her, but was steered out to the field. And I couldn't catch her scent, so I began our path. She must be up the path waiting for me. Rain is coming, because the wind whips at my face and there is no light to guide me to the tree. The wind whips at my face and throws sound and scent, so I can't place anything and I can't find the worn trail or familiar tufts of grass under my feet. I tilt my head up to try to see. I strain to see. The sparrows have scattered and nothing is familiar. The wind whips at my face, stings my eyes. I keep going, hoping my feet will find the hillside to climb, that tilt back, but I realize my body has pitched forward, down. I am running down, or flying, or falling. I'm not running at all, but falling. The earth suddenly races up and strikes my face. My legs can't find the earth to push away anymore, and something sharp, many sharp things drag across my face and body. They catch and snag. I cry out, tangled in the thistle, in thorns and teeth. Then the rain falls. The rain falls on my face. I must be looking up, but there are no shapes before me. It is quiet, too. The sparrows hold their breath, or the gold ocean has pulled away the way oceans do. Waves slide back and reveal the ocean floor. My mother had warned me of this quiet, of the dark that can swallow you. It grows like the sparrows and fills up everything. I am alone. No matter how I cry out for my mother, the quiet and dark and rain are too big. I strain my eyes. I hold them wide, catching the rain, in hopes that I might finally see. I hope that beyond the distance of dark there is the hillside, the tree and the woman and my mother. I stare, rain falling in my eyes. And then a pinprick of light. At first I'm not sure it's really there. But I quiet my crying and still my body. I hold my stare, and there it is, that speck of light. And there's another. I think of my mother in the herd, watching the specks of light, as though this is a distant herd orbiting the darkened field. Then the dark softens. It's under these pinpricks of light that I notice the rain has stopped, and the dark has changed. I don't know this, but I think of what the woman has told me. I think that these must be colors. I don't know their names, but they are like light and water. They're warm and moving and stretching around me, drenching me like the ocean of gold. I watch them shift around me, and they are so bright, startling, and immense. It is so bright that I hold my breath, that my eyes well and blur all this color. It almost frightens me, this vision. I wish my mother was here, even as they begin to fade. A low wail rolls down the hillside. The scent of wet earth follows. A familiar limb reaches in and grips me, tears me from the thicket and into the light. breath. It's morning again, and I lean into the scarred tongue that presses my face. It's morning again.
Thank you so much, Allison and Cassandra, for that awesome video. And next up, we're going to have Faye Hernandez. Faye is a trans, Englewood-raised, formerly undocumented immigrant artist, writer, and healer. They have been published in Poetry, Pank Magazine, Oxford Review of Books, Frontier Poetry, The Breakbeat Poets Volume 4, and many others. They are a Define American Fellow for 2021 and are currently the board president of Gender Justice Los Angeles. Faye is the author of the full-length poetry collection Hood Criatura from Sundress Publications 2020, which was on NPR's Best Books of 2020 list. Faye also collects Pokemon plushies, which we obviously approve of. Faye, take it away.
Hi y'all, I'm Faye Hernandez. Thank you for having me. I'll be performing a couple poems. I hope you enjoy them. Just a little bit about myself. I am Mexican. More specifically, I am of Pima and the Tarahumaras people descent, as well as transatlantic settler. I grew up in Inglewood. I am a formerly undocumented person. I am trans. I am non-binary. I kick ass. I am multidimensional. And yeah, you can find me at feyhernandez.com, FEIHERNANDEZ.com, or on Instagram at Fey, F-E-I, period, Hernandez, with the Z at the end. Yeah, so I have a couple pieces that I want to share with y'all. And I hope, again, you enjoy them. This first one's titled Creation Myth People. Instead of being known as the nothing people, or the we are invisible, leave us alone people, we have become the papaya people, the brimming with black seeds people, the spilled Milky Way people, the big-haired people, people that make creation myths for every solar return. We are the tire, rubble, sandal people, the runner people. But this time, instead of running into the hills for shelter, we run across the blurred state lines as a one people, as a free people. We are still the children of the sun and moon people, but here we know ourselves as the wane and crescent people who lift river tides with our hands. We are the cosecha people, the guitar people, the forest people of cackle and snap who snap the necks of peanut shells and chickens alike. We are the sing until it hurts people. We are the giant gray-eyed people, the short mystic people. Here, we are no longer the alien people who leave sigils behind in desert stone. We are the word people, the desert people, the mountain people, the plains people, the world people, the plátanos macho people, the copper people, the green lightning people. We are the no one's people. We are now the not one people. And as the land stretches bountifully, we realize we are no longer the lift yourself up by the bootstrap people, no longer the bag people carrying their whole life across their shoulder. We are the bone people, the suck the marrow out of everything people, the live no matter what people. We are the prism people, not the prison people. We are the skin people. We are the hands people. We are always holding on to something or someone. We are the always holding people, the laughter people, the bite into fresh sandia people, the smile people, the always playing people, the eternal people, the eternal people. Thank y'all. So that was my first piece. This next one is a little bit more of an odyssey. It's one of my new pieces going in my new collection. It's called titled Perra Seraph. I am a grown seraph, hair parted, two waves on either side, my hair, water devouring water, my face, a bare smooth shell in the spotlight, I look bomb. My chest doesn't hold a phoenix of hair. the only fire, lazy on my dress. I am painfully clean-shaven, softly sing into a room full of foreigners, conjure my own solar system while my audience snaps and whistles. My gravity is strong. They kiss silver crosses, hallelujah, bow at life, wet, kneel at the witness to life. My baritone, my body a sacred delight. I am the star, aglow in the dark they follow, paralyzed by worship. We'll go more than one round tonight. They want me, all of me. Now, not only when I become the doves at my funeral, they'll want the night sky of me, legs wide open on my bed, my hips begging them to enter now. They want my titties slipping through shiny leather that binds me, my poison all out, and they want it. My pink hair sways the full length of its inches, my acrylics, stoned fangs ready to bite. I choose a man from the audience and sit on his sucking lips. My tulip drips its nectar. He's so hungry. I moan loud because there are no cages here, no one to protect. God slips through my window, tickles my nipples, offers to help record the orgasmic belting for my OnlyFans before I'm snatched away, murdered, found in pieces by now. I don't know if I'm on stage singing or if I'm fucking the man I picked from the audience or God. God wants a taste of me in this dream. God doesn't wince at my body. He craves the marble of me. This time he keeps me alive. He remembers why he made me a tulip that doesn't bruise so he can suck me without trial. This time God made sure I could savor sex all on my lips and hands without an ounce of guilt. This God is a man of a rare kind. He stays the night, kisses me in the morning, loves my curves and my 5 o'clock shadow, smacks my ass, loves all the hanging parts of me, loves my song, the way I bend his fine ass over to break a nail while doing so, swing my hair out of my way so I can see me in him too, and mid-fuck, he'll remind me we're still on stage singing a song. God tells me I'm his God too before he kisses me on the neck, before he leaps off the stage and joins the audience. Tells me to focus on singing when I am soundless, frozen. And so I open my eyes and sing the song that's mine, that's deep, that's all about drowning, that's all about finding myself in reefs full of color, of places where light doesn't enter. I hit a high note. Surprise myself by how long I can sustain my breath, how my body conspires me to push beyond limit, even without a child in womb, because my words need to come. My song is wet. Sprout stars, cosmos, water, sun, messages detailing the degree of my aliveness, my words, gusts of wind lifting me higher, closer to the moon. I am a winged thing with venom in her veins, a fool woman, not mistaken for a halfway point. My words, no matter where I sing them, will burn somewhere else. A bedroom where I am desired, a stage where I will be enamored, a transited street where I can strut and not be murdered, singing my delicate, beastly song. Oh yes, I sing. Yes, I do, and I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm a bare, smooth shell, lying naked when the waves part open at night. Thank you. Thank you for having me, for listening to me, for partaking and witnessing this here magic. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoy the rest of the performers, enjoy the rest of your day. I hope all of y'all are good. Like I mentioned before, find me on Instagram or my website. I've been working on a little blog, so posting here and there on my website. Also get my book. It's titled Hood Criatura. You can get it on any major platform, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, which we don't support, but I mean, it's still being sold there, or my website, which is where I'll make the most money. So, yeah, take care. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye.
All right, thank you again to Faye Hernandez for that beautiful reading. Next up, we're going to see some work from Marina Cavadini. Marina is a research-based artist primarily working with performance, sculpture, and video. Guided by queer and feminist theory and decolonial thinking, she works to foster connections and undo hierarchies. With a surrealistic and erotic tone, their work invites us to experience the post-natural realm with vulnerability and intimacy. Marina holds a BFA from Brera, Milan, an MA in Curatorial Studies from the New Academy of Fine Arts in Milan, and an MFA in Sculpture from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. She is a recipient of the Eldon Danhausen Fellowship for Sculpture in 2017, and Marina's work has been shown in Chicago, Turin, Milan, and Rome, among other places. Marina is a member of the Altalena Collective, with whom she is taking part in the Mediterranean 19 Young Artists Biennale. Tonight we will be seeing two pieces from Marina's video series called Deep Moisture, shot in Nida, Lithuania during residency at the Nida Art Colony. In Deep Moisture, Marina offers a short tour of sensory and synesthetic haptic experiences with the environment. This journey is conveyed through experiments inspired by techniques aimed at stimulating autonomous sensory meridian responses, better known as ASMR. Enjoy.
dimensioni, finché cadono e vengono sostituite da altre. Cadono e vengono sostituite da altre. Il liquido è rilasciato dalle foglie perché la pianta è satura d'acqua e la deve eliminare. La temperatura cresce e il fenomeno cessa perché la pianta non è più satura, ma se la copri con una campana di vetro, le gocce si rigenerano. Le gocce si formano all'apice delle foglie, sudano e migliorano la presa e la sensibilità tattile.
All right, friggin' wild. Thank you to Marina Cavadini for sharing that with us. And finally this evening, we are going to hear a reading from Darius Simpson. Darius Simpson is a writer, educator, performer, and skilled living room dancer from Akron, Ohio. Much like the means of production, he believes poetry belongs to and with the masses. He aims to inspire that feeling you get that makes you frown and slightly twist up your face in approval. Darius believes in the dissolution of empire and the total liberation of Africans and all oppressed people by any means necessary. All power to the people, free the land, free all political prisoners. Take it away, Darius.
This last election was a riot. What do you call a person who writes protest poems but won't throw a brick through a window? You don't. What do you call a brick through a window without language to name itself? You don't. Everything don't need to be weighted down with words. Some shit you can tell by what it does at midnight. Some people shrink like rotten pumpkins when a Glock strikes 12. Fairy tale wishes for human decency, coupled with anti-capitalist imaginations, are usually what the people in black are made of when the sun goes down. What do you call allies who start fires outside but won't flip tables at family functions? Christians. Good excuses for bloody knuckles. Bad company and a standoff against canine units. What good is a notebook in a department store fire fueled by pepper spray? What use is ink to a guillotine smirk carved into the neck of a monument? What we gonna do when bullet shells replace red hats? Or worse, when blue ties replace red hats? Or when red hats become the standard? Or when there are no more aesthetics for racist proclamations? What do you call a murderer with a troublesome habit of public appearances? You don't. He calls you for campaign donations. I live just east of a contradiction. Clumps of knotted human hair skip excitedly over sidewalk cracks in pairs. Tire tracks from sideshows scrape murals into over-patrolled crosswalk paint. A city of tremors and zip codes shaken loose from indigenous childhoods. Colonialism don't respect finders keepers. All's fair in genocide except self-defense. There are humans too familiar with the politics of thunderstorm forecast. Squalors sitting next door to apartment buildings the size of neighborhoods. Empty baby bottles rolling between broken glass clusters under the freeway. Brand new cop cars taking victory laps around decade-old encampments. Dead grass grappling with the distance between beating hearts and piles of repurposed furniture. And bench warrants drifting toward gutters. Climate crisis confused about how many people we let pile up outdoors. While profits skyrocket for empty housing units, while a high-rise crawls out the chapped lips of an investor. I'm not really sure how leasing works. I got my degree in human decency. I'm not really up on the latest ethics for ownership. All my comrades keep space on the couch and a spare blanket. Push the weight limits of a Honda Civic and there's always room. Wednesday is a good excuse to shoplift under capitalism. Yesterday was sufficient evidence to stack bricks near glass houses. Right now is waiting for academics to put on work boots. I'm not sure what's legal and what's tradition anymore. At some point, sick of this shit should lead us to get rid of city council, lest we be made of plastic promises too, lest the young have a bone to pick, lest that bone come from our inactive bodies, lest there be no land left to pick a fight on. I blame the suffering last for how they survived the winter. I blame the president for rainy days and wildfires. I blame poverty on vegan diets and yoga studios. I blame the police for lead pipes and poison history lessons. I blame police for all the times my father bit his tongue on the job. I blame police for my lazy eye twitch and my obsessive desire to produce. I blamed the sheriff's office last week when I stubbed my toe, and it left an iron star-shaped blood stain in my sock. If I'm caught between a badge and a hard place 3 hours after the streetlights turn on, will you church it? Will you pass it along pews of almost saints until it reaches the whole congregation? Will you tithe it? Will you stretch it thin like goat skin over the shell of a djembe drum? Will you slap it? Will you let the echo dance naked in the wet cave of your throat? Will you bark it? Will you sing it? Like my mother is listening. Will you inhale until your lungs nearly burst, then inhale some more, then inhale some more, then and only then will you say my name? Will you put some stank on it? Will you juke joint James Brown it? Will you Jerry Curl spray it? Now, how can I rest in peace or power if you get all lazy-lipped when you talking about me? Will you scoop it thick? Will you stir it slow? Will you mac and cheese it? Will you to spread the savory over your tongue? Will you let it marinate? Will you serve it with Sunday dinner? Now, if you say my name and cast iron skillets don't start to rattling, that mean you ain't say it loud enough. Will you say it again? If an oak tree don't split open from the trunk, that mean you ain't pronounce it right. Will you say it again? Will you redecorate this city in streams of fire after me? Will you paint downtown a scorching hue? Will you stain the sky in black smoke? Will you tell ghost stories over the ashes of this empire? Will you scream it? Will you stand outside in the clutter of some rush hour traffic to let these motherfuckers know what kind of boots I wore? Will you stomp it into the soil of the last place I laughed with my whole body? Will you dance it? Will you Saturday night praise it? Will you tambourine it? Will you drunken favorite song shout it? Will you full moon howl? Will you shriek? Will you moan? Will you chant? Will you live? Will you cry? Will you cry for me? Will you? Thank you.
Okay, thank you again to Darius Simpson for closing us out this evening, and thank you obviously to all our other artists, Marina Cavadini, Hernandez, and Allison Brooke Young. Please check out the links we dropped for them. They do great work and they will continue to do so. Thank you again to the Guild for helping us put these shows on, as well as the rest of my Exhibit B team. Good luck to Jim in finishing the rest of his manuscript. We can't wait to read the rest of it. Next show, keep an eye out. Head to our Facebook, as always, to see when the next show will be. It should be in September. We're hoping to do something with the Printers Row Lit Fest. We should have Moshe Stokely, Nick Ward, Ignatius Valentine, Ruben Casada, and Sky Goodman. It should be an awesome show. But like I said, check the web for details and a firm date on that in the next couple weeks. Until that, stay fly, and we'll see you soon.